Welcome to the regular monthly meeting of the Board of Commissioners held for the purpose of transacting the general business of the Township. Today's date is August 10th, 2016. The meeting is being held in the Springfield Middle School Library. Please stand and join the Board of Commissioners in a moment of silent reflection, honoring the servicemen and women who have placed themselves in harm's way in order to help preserve our safety. Please remain standing and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this point, I would entertain a motion dispensing with the reading of the minutes of the previous meeting as written and recorded in the official minute book of the Township.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote. At this point, we have a full complement here tonight. At this point, I would like to recognize Michael Pitko, the Chief of Police and Magisterial District Justice, Kate McGill, who will administer the oath of office to Police Officer William Seiler. Come on down. Hi, Kate.
Thank you. Good evening. I'll just give a little bit about William Seiler. Welcome him to our newest officer of Springfield Township, William P. Seiler Jr., known as Bill. He's a 2015 graduate of Montgomery County Community College Municipal Police Academy. Also has an associate's degree from Montgomery County in 2013. His degree is in liberal studies. Bill comes to us with some prior police experience. Earlier this year, he was a member of the Whitehall Township Police Department located in Lehigh County. And outside the city of Allentown, Whitehall Township probably has the highest crime rate in Lehigh County. So I know when Bill first started the testing process with us last year, his goal was to always become a police officer in Montgomery County. So given a choice between Whitehall and Springfield, I think a very wise choice. I'd like to recognize his folks are here in attendance, as well as his wife, Christina, and a lot of members of the police department. Thank you also for attending tonight as we welcome Bill, and we look forward to a very long and successful career with Springfield Township.
I, William Seiler Jr.,
I, William Seiler Jr.,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic, and that I will bear true faith
and I will bear true faith
and allegiance
to the same.
I, William Seiler Jr.,
I, William Seiler Jr.,
do further solemnly swear
do further solemnly swear
that I take this obligation freely,
that I take this obligation freely,
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
and
that I will well and faithfully discharge
I will well and faithfully discharge
the office of Patrol Officer
the office of Patrol Officer
with fidelity.
with fidelity. Thank you.
Time for a couple quick photos.
Yes.
Sure.
Judge, you want to come up too?
Do you want to bring your parents up? If you want.
Mom and Dad.
Kate, can we do one with the parents?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mike?
Sure.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good luck, Bill.
Welcome aboard.
Congratulations. Thank
Before we get to the public comment, I want to read announcements related to 2 and 3 on the agenda and one other announcement. So item 2 is sidewalk repairs. The July 11, 2016 meeting of the Board of Commissioners, a resident inquired why the sidewalks on Traymore Avenue adjacent to Willow Grove Avenue were not repaired as part of the zoning certification process that is required prior to the sale of real estate. The reason is the new owners were granted permission by the Code Enforcement Department to perform the necessary concrete repairs as part of the planned development of the property, which is not unusual when it is anticipated that an entire property would be renovated. However, given the time delay that has occurred since the sale of the property and the number of approvals that must still be secured to redevelop the property as currently envisioned by the new owners, the Code Enforcement Department recently placed the property owners on notice that the damaged sidewalk and curbing along Traymore Avenue must be repaired within 60 days. That's item 2. Item 3 has to do with Veterans Park. At the July 11, 2016 meeting of the Board of Commissioners, the board received comment from a Traymore Avenue resident who suggested that at least a portion of the current Veterans Park property was to be designated as open space in perpetuity. During the month, Township staff requested and received from Montgomery County all readily available property deeds for the park. From a review of these documents, as well as actions taken by the Board of Commissioners over the years to secure the parklands, it does not appear that the information is readily available to support the residents' suggestion. Since the Board of Commissioners is not planning to change the manner in which the park is presently utilized, the board does not find it necessary to perform the more costly and extensive research to confirm if any restrictions exist. And then finally, I have an announcement on the municipal campus construction project. On Monday, August 8th, Township officials were advised that the Philadelphia Laborers Union Local 135 was planning to conduct a peaceful labor protest the following day at the Township's municipal campus construction project. The union indicated that they would be protesting the use of labor secured by one of the subcontractors from the Eastern Pennsylvania Laborers Union based in Allentown, Pennsylvania. The contractor, Thomas W. Kincaid Masonry, is a union company with headquarters in Wind Gap, Pennsylvania. On Tuesday, August 11th, the Laborers Union began their protest, including the use of inflatable rat, which includes a statement that reads, TWK, deteriorating area standards. Since then, the Township has learned that TWK is willing to utilize labor from the local union. However, the local labor union refuses to allow their employees to operate small machinery necessary to complete the work, which is not the case with union employees secured through the Eastern Pennsylvania Laborers Union. Pennsylvania Prevailing Wage Act requires all employees working on the project to be paid rates established by the Pennsylvania Department of Labor and Industry. These rates closely resemble the wages paid to all union employees in order to maintain equity between union and non-union construction firms. That's my final announcement. So now the board is open to comments or questions from the public. The board draws particular attention to those items listed on the agenda this evening. Please be advised that once the committee reports begin, the board can no longer accept questions from the floor. At the conclusion of the committee reports, public comments will once again be accepted. However, official action on those issues listed on the agenda will have already taken place. Therefore, if you wish to comment on an agenda item, now would be the appropriate time. Do we have public comment? Come on down.
Ready? Joan Parsons, 37 Hawkswell Circle in Orland. I know you spoke about this at the workshop meeting, but I just wanted to get on record by giving my input on what's going on. The Springfield Manor and Cheltenham Trans Bus Depot has to coexist with each other. Right now, as a homeowner, with the depot expansion and even before school starts, there are major issues with parking for Cheltenham Trans employees' cars. Jim Daly was the only commissioner to not vote on the expansion of the lot to increase to 180 buses and additional employee parking spots. What was allowed before the expansion was approved was more than enough buses in that area, but Eric Faust somehow got everyone, the rest of you, to approve the expansion. Orland Mill Road, adjacent to the building where Eric Faust has his offices, Springfield Manor Home Development, is lacking a continuation of the Belgian blocks to finish off the curbing adjacent to the cement walkway. Cars parked there have ruined our landscaping in my townhome community. The sidewalk goes to the end of the property just before the train tracks, but the curbing stopped just inside the intersection of Hawkswell Circle and Orland Mill Road. I have no idea why this would have been approved in the first place, and I don't know who approved the plans back then. I emailed pictures, videos of the chewed-up area where Eric Faust's employees parked to all of you. I presume you received my emails, but I only heard back from Jim and Glenn. Did everybody get my emails?
Yes.
Oh, you did? Okay, great. I attended all the board meetings up to the approval to expand his business. The newest commissioners, Commissioner Graham and Commissioner Maxwell, approved this expansion so quickly. I just don't get why the new commissioners felt the need to rush to judgment. One commissioner had the vision to see what we are experiencing right now. Is too many buses and too many employee cars, and Jim, of course, was the one who voted against it. The Eric Faust vision, which was presented verbally at the commissioners' board meetings, was to pull out a bus and put in an employee car in its place. I would really like to see how he can do this at 5 o'clock in the morning when he has the cars streaming in. The plan was that Cheltenham Train would be self-contained within his lot, as he and his lawyers stated numerous times at numerous board meetings. The poster board was supposed to show all the designated spots for buses and employee vehicles. Eric Faust stated his employees use buses, cabs, carpooling, so therefore all his employees can be parked within the lot. I did not see any plans that showed his employee cars parking on Orland Mill Road. I know it is a public road, but he never said he needed that space. Self-contained bus depot is what he said. The emergency fire trucks cannot enter the top entrance with both sides designated parking. I'd like to see that demonstrated too. With the snow removal and the cars parked there, the ridge from the train tracks down to the intersection of Hawkswell Circle and Orland Mill Road is horrible. Rainwater management has to be involved now. Who fixes the area? Not the homeowners, I hope. I keep going back to the fact that Eric Faust can be self-contained within his bus depot lot. The expansion I feel should not have been approved. Eric Faust stated that he has handicapped employees. Looking at the side entrance to his office building within his lot, he can designate handicapped spots there. When I witnessed for myself that the majority of the commissioners were okay with Eric Faust pulling out from the spot and a how-many-ton bus and then the driver pulling in his car, I thought to myself, how in God's name is that going to work? The pulling in and pulling out was going on throughout the day, night, and weekends. You approved Springfield Manor luxury townhomes where I live, with only one-car garages, with the middle homes and some of the end units not having two-car garages. There is only a few two-car garages within the 50 townhomes. Did you not figure on visitors to our development or additional homeowners having two or more cars? We're already loaded with vehicles. We pay taxes, at least $8,000 a home times 50 homes. Penn Manor homes that you approved on Paper Mill Road and Camp Hill Road, the carriage homes, all have two-car garages, no matter whether an end unit or not. They also have designated parking areas for visitors. Looks like that development was engineered correctly. Before Springfield Manor can be dedicated and signed off to Sal Payne, there are problems. Engineering problems with the stormwater management. I do hope that no signing off will take place until all stormwater management is working in our community. On another note, the bridge on our walking trail, I believe, is also one of the points that has to be resolved before this can be turned over and dedicated, because it's a dam. We have sticks out of it now. Every time it rains, it becomes a dam. No matter how much rain falls, the bridge load is just totally unacceptable. You have all kinds of debris on the part of the walking trail where people are going to be walking. You have kids. If they fall into the sticks or whatever, they're going to get injured, right? And nobody's come back to clean it. But it has to be cleaned every time it rains. Okay. Engineers approved this mess. How many times in a year does someone have to free the bridge of debris in order for the creek to flow properly? How many times? Who fixes this? The last rain, etc., and who's going to maintain it? On another note, I have to think about the upcoming disaster at the Winmore Avenue land development with parking and traffic where my grandkids play ball. I hope the residents are really awake for all the engineering and development issues on Willow Grove Avenue, back in the park area there where they're playing sports, because you're doing that big, huge development there. I just hope the engineers are look at that for parking and for all kinds of, when the kids are there, my grandkids are there for sports, so that's what I wanted to add. So what's going to happen with dedicating the street with the questions that I'm bringing forth? Is
As
there
far
gonna
as
be
the
a
parking,
delay?
we will move forward in ban park. You asked us not to do it this month, so we're
Right,
not
just
doing it.
to-
We're
just-
figuring out, as far as the
Right.
curb's concerned, we're talking with the developer to see if we can get them to extend the curb.
Okay, and what about the bridge?
I can't speak to that.
That's on the punch list to confirm that that's set at the right elevation and to get confirmation from DEP who permitted it that that's the elevation that they want.
So so then the bridge on the other side going to Penn Manor is definitely higher than the bridge behind my home.
Okay.
Are they the
Don,
same people?
Jeff, if I could ask, if it does meet DEP specs, then what?
Right.
If there's the evidence there that it's damming, what was the public safety, I mean, where does that shake out with the developer?
That's going to be an issue for PADEP because they manage the floodplain. I think, and we've talked about this, I think, with this group, but if you elevate the bridge, make up the number 2 feet or 3 feet higher, you also have to build up the approaches to it for the path. And that's what DEP doesn't want, is now you're creating a dam within the floodplain, where the bridge gets clogged up and it floods, it flows around that, as opposed to this dam that continues on a longer pace. So I think that's the basis for why DEP kept that low. But at the end of the day, they're going to have to confirm that that's what they want.
So in other words, if we have 2 weeks of rain and it's all loaded with twigs and whatever, you're going to have township residents walking on there and going through the bridge to get to the other side. And there's no liability with that? If somebody gets injured? I mean, a trash can went down there.
Yeah, well, within the agreement between Wissahickon Valley Watershed Association and the developer and your homeowners association, it calls out who's responsible for what. I don't know what it says.
It's a botched up job, basically.
I don't think it says that.
The bridge is a botched up job.
It calls out who's responsible for what, major maintenance and, the minor maintenance, the clearing up the debris.
Okay. So you will not then sign
Well,
off
are
on
they
it?
going to do a paper review of the elevation of the bridge, or are they going to actually come out? Can we request that they actually come out, look at it, look at the pictures and whatnot of the damming, and that before they make their final determination that they made the right call to begin with?
Yeah, well, we can share them with the pictures, although that's what they do. They understand that it's sitting low and it's going to catch that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Do they want it to catch that?
No, I just don't think they want any more grading within the floodplain.
Understood.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have other public comment at this time? Yes, sir.
Good evening. You'll have to pardon me for not sitting down. Jeff, how you doing?
Good.
I have a question.
Jimmy, say
First
who
off,
you are.
I'm sorry. Jim
I have
Marlin.
no idea who you are.
Commander, American Legion, Post 100, Winmore. I'm here to ask a few questions just to clarify and/or put to bed a few questions from our veterans from the community, as well as community members in our area. Would you please repeat and/or clarify the comments in reference to the open space that you made earlier this evening?
Let me elaborate on them,
Yeah.
because we did the research. It was inconclusive. But we also want to say we have no plans on getting rid of any other open space.
I didn't think so.
Right,
Again,
other than
as-
maybe a couple feet, that hasn't been approved, but not as far as taking a field away or taking any material amount away. And you and I have talked about it.
Oh, yes, we have, and I just
And then I
wanted to
wanna
go
be
on
clear,
record to
yes.
put a few other fires out to assist the board.
Yes.
Inconclusive as to the deeding. Could you clarify what you meant in that direction?
I'm going to pass that to those who did it.
Yeah, well, They did research. We did research from what the county had available, and it did not describe the areas that are in question. There were about 2 or 3 lots, and they're tiny up against Traymore Avenue, pretty much near the parking lot areas.
Okay.
But it didn't describe the 2, what I'll call the 2 big lots. And so what Jeff is saying is it would cost, we'd have to do some more research and probably get some help to do that. But since the board's not going to make any changes there, why spend?
No, that's great. Just for your own record, if you go back into your township records from 1968, you'll find out that the property originally was Winmore Fire Company parade grounds, or what they used to call the carnival grounds. And the township actually made a trade for the corner in which Winmore Fire Company now sits, which was an abandoned lot, for that property where Veterans Park now stands, for the majority thereof. It's in your records, and Chief Huck Hens and President Huck Hens, Winmore Fire Department, was the one who helped you all broker that deal. So if you're looking back for your records, that will assist you. It commenced in 1968 and finished up in 1970, just shy of the construction of the Winmore Fire Department. Again, as Mr. Harbins and I have discussed in the past, I get many, many, many questions as to the disposition of Veterans Park and its purpose, or what the township intends to do with it. And there is a lot of fear factor, and I hope to come here tonight and help the township members put that to bed, that this township does represent and support the veterans very much, and the history that that park stood for. And I just wanted to make sure that was on record tonight, that there is no intention to diminish or remove that park. Am I correct?
Yeah, not only that, but you and I have talked about this. If we do the one conceptual plan that involved the 5 or 6 foot incursion, which we did not approve, involved paving the area behind the park so they could come out, and that would be beneficial to the fire company because they would have a paved area going in, but it would get closer to where your memorial park is, and you and I agreed that we would not do anything without your blessing of that.
Blessing is not our right to do so.
Without
agreement
consultation
and or
yes, but
so forth.
But we're nowhere near that at this point.
I didn't think so. I just wanted, again, as we spoke, I would just like the community to know,
Yes, that's
because
helpful.
there sometimes is confusion in communication and or their lack of communication from this board out to the community in general. And I'm hoping to help bridge that gap.
That's great.
And that's why I'm standing here tonight. So there's some information for you. I hope you can use it. But yes, Veterans Park is very near and dear to very many, many, many people and families in the community. And as we had discussed, we are looking into the possible expansion of that to include all of the conflicts that have happened since Vietnam. So thank you for your on that, and I hope that we can get that information out so people stop going into a panic.
Yes, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comment at this point? Mr. Gillies? Whoop.
My name is Trudy Jackson, my husband Ray. We live at 908 Summit Lane.
Good evening, board members.
I just wanted to bring to the attention, in case you don't know, that the digital bulletin board sign is now going on late, probably closer to 11 o'clock. So in case that was not known, it is back on. So the nuisance and disturbance to the neighbors, my house, our house, what's right back up, is back again. So I just want to make sure that that's known. Are there any updates? I know that's not on the agenda, but any updates?
I don't think we really have anything. We were aware of that, and we predicted that at the last meeting. But we haven't filed anything at this
We
point.
have not filed anything. There was an executive session on Monday night to discuss a couple of clarifications with regard to the litigation, and we are still authorized to commence that litigation, and it will be started very soon.
Okay, thank you.
If I may, Mr. Commissioner, Mr. President,
Go ahead.
just because I wanted to bring up this subject because a lot of the residents are here tonight concerning the billboard issue, and it's not on the agenda, is that our solicitor has made some very great strides into resolving the issue with the commencement of the lawsuit. And I think I will be meeting with all of the residents as the email blast that I sent out. But you should be aware that our solicitor has done a fantastic job, and that I think you should rest at ease right now. And as I said, we will have those meetings in the future where we will address that issue. But right now, I think you should be comforted in knowing that our solicitor has started with the lawsuit, and that I believe that we're headed in the direction that would make you very happy. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, that's very good news.
Thanks for coming out.
Thank you. Hello, Bob Gillies, 213 Woods Road. Related to the billboards in general, not that I wanted to be here, but I understand that the lawsuit is not yet been filed, is that?
That is correct.
And when that happens, as former commissioner of the ward, will we be deposed as well? Our records and any of that information?
I don't know.
How far that would go? Would it be
It'll be up to the other
appropriate for former commissioners to be in the executive sessions or not? I'm just curious.
I don't think so,
Okay, thanks.
because that might make it an illegal executive
Yeah,
session.
I'm not sure, because I know we had that debate once before on this.
Right.
Mr. Arbus, if I could, I'd like to ask Mr. Graham some questions.
Go ahead. You can address them to me, but I will let him. You know
I'm asking
the drill,
to allow
right?
me to address them to Mr. Graham. Mr. Graham, I'm sitting here, I just wanted to know if you had anything you'd like to say to me, being I'm here this month, and I heard...
Anything to say to you concerning what?
Anything at all, because I heard you brought my name up last month, and I just would like to know if there's anything that you would like to speak to me directly about.
Well, Mr. Gillies, you and many of the people that supported you during your commission had many things to say about me. And I think I don't understand what you want me to say unless you are
that's
trying
fine.
to be confrontational.
No, I'm not trying to.
I don't think we should do that here. Well, I'll be more than happy to talk to you off the record, but
Well,
I will address any issue that you wish
Well, you
to bring
spoke
to
about me
me.
on the record, so I was just trying to clarify some of that record. But if you don't have anything you'd like to
Sure.
ask, if you don't have anything you'd like to ask me...
No, I have nothing confrontational to say to you. No, I do not.
All right. Mr. Daly last month gave a fairly good summation after your record of the facts. And I was surprised some of the other board members didn't jump in to further elaborate on the facts. But one thing is your constituent, you did not vote for Mr. Gary as a solicitor. What was your intention? Who were you intending to vote for as a solicitor?
I beg your pardon?
When the vote for solicitor was...
I believe that's my choice to make on my own. Why do I have to explain that to you?
I'm just asking who you...
Well, that's a choice that's because that was my choice at that time.
So you didn't have anybody as a backup, you just didn't vote for Mr. Gary?
As I said, it was my choice that I made at that time.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay?
All right, Mr. Daly did point out that we had some issues with our solicitor, or several solicitors from the same firm at the time. And there was a couple things that he didn't point out that I would like to point out. In 2006, when Mr. Kilkenny was initially appointed, he had 0 first-class township experience. And the minority party at the time brought that up as a potential problem, and the majority party decided that was more important than Mr. Kilkenny got the position with 0 experience as a first-class township solicitor. Fast forward to 2008, Mr. Kilkenny was, or his firm was reappointed in 2008, and it's very important to know that. He also took a position in Hatfield, which conflicted with our night, and he took a position at White Marsh Township. Again, very important to remember, in 2008, January of 2008, Mr. Kilkenny was appointed solicitor of White Marsh Township and his firm. During the period between 2008 and 2010, 9 other communities besides Springfield were poached by Billboard businesses, predominantly the Billboard that we got, the manufacturer or the developer that we got poached by. They went, and when I say poached, they went through, a record was made by a judge saying that the billboards, excluding, and it wasn't billboards, excluding off-site premises advertisement was, you could not exclude that from your zoning. I believe that's how it was, off-site premise, some of that nature. So 9 other townships, including Springfield, had the same issue. One of them being White Marsh, and theirs started in the middle portion of 2008. Again, very important to remember these dates. In 2000, somewhere before September of 2010, when we had the validity challenge, Mr. Kilkenny was requested to review our sign ordinance, specifically our sign ordinance, because we had an issue with electronic messages boards. And we tasked the solicitor to review our sign ordinance. During that same period of time that our solicitor was having the identical issue in Springfield in White Marsh, before it arose in Springfield, that billboard issue was being in front of our solicitor in a different township. He did not bring that knowledge to our township. And you will find it very interesting that on the same day that we enacted our new ordinance for ordinance number 906, amending the township sign ordinance for message board use, the very same day, the same meeting, we declared our sign ordinance invalid. And this was all brought up at the time. And those were all key issues as to why we got to where we are. And I just am curious of some of the facts that you have brought up and why they were relevant even into the position. You brought up a demographic fact as a matter of course for the billboard issue. Could you explain why demographics had anything to do with the billboards?
Were any of the facts incorrect, Mr. Gillies? Were any of the facts?
They're not relevant.
Were they incorrect? Were they non-factual?
I don't know. I'm not looking at.
Well, they were all factual. That's why I put them on record.
Everything was factual?
Yeah, everything was factual. You can test that. I believe that my statements are a part of the record, which the community is more than willing to review.
If a fact isn't relevant, I mean.
The facts are irrelevant?
No, I said if a fact is not relevant, why bring it up?
And what fact that I stated was irrelevant in your opinion?
I don't know why you brought up demographics. I would like to know. I can infer something, but I don't know what you.
Well, what are you inferring? I don't understand. I brought up demographics as a part of my statement.
And I'd like to know what that had to do with the billboard.
Because I was making a statement concerning the community that was affected by the billboard.
Well, see, I disagree with the entire community of Springfield is affected by this.
You know what, let's just, you know what, we're on record. So let's just call it what it is, Mr. Gillies, and let's stop beating around the bush. What you are addressing is the fact that I brought up that the sign is affecting more of our African-American neighbors, and is the African-American neighbors in the community are the smaller part of the community. So if that's what you're just addressing, let's, just be a man enough and say that's what you're addressing.
Well, I am.
Well, because I brought it up because it is a fact.
Well, that's all.
The sign is affecting 83.4% of the homes that are affected are owned by African Americans.
I fully understand that.
So I don't understand. It's a fact.
Okay. And it's also a fact that was put in a Republican commissioner's ward. But again, it's not relevant.
Well, there are other facts in there too that you should bring up also.
Not relevant.
If you want. Well, exactly, they are relevant because as a result of your vote in getting that billboard, it is now affecting the homes of many members of our community.
Well, I tried to explain to you how we got to that vote, and that vote.
It doesn't matter. The solicitor cannot do anything without the commission as a whole allowing him to do so.
Absolutely. And
so I don't understand why you're bringing this up now.
I'm just going to tell you, as you go through the record, and a lot of this was done in executive session. Jeff Harbison signed the first thing that
I said that in my facts.
Right, which was more than 19 months in advance of what you had said. But Mr. Harbison signed that board. He was the majority party at the time, and it validated our zoning. That was not the position of the full board.
Granted.
In executive session, we had debates over that, and that was an executive session.
Okay.
At the end of the day, when the board came down with our decision, whether it was 5-2, 6-1, 4-3, that's the decision we had to live with. Okay. We had to go down that path. There was no second path to go down.
Okay.
All right?
That's fair enough.
Now, when the billboard was turned on, that Memorial Day weekend in 2015,
Yes.
you will see if and when the record allows, because I can't get to them anymore, because all my emails are on the township server, and once I became not a commissioner, I can't get onto the township server, so I could print them out to you and show you that I immediately asked for that billboard to be turned off.
Okay.
I said that billboard had to be turned off immediately. Nothing influenced my consideration of that in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
And it was brought up in another meeting by somebody else, what you had alluded to, which your facts are not correct on that, Mr. Garrity said that I was a very staunch opponent of the billboard when it was turned on. And that was in a meeting, televised, anybody can look at it. So if anything, I pushed as hard as anybody else to get that billboard shut off.
Okay.
Now, did you do your own research when you listened
Yes,
to
I
the
did.
facts? Did you print out everything and look at it in your hands and read it and understand what was there?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Nobody else helped you, right?
No one else helped me, Mr.
So
Lewis.
when you read the statement about the cash contribution to Bob Gillies,
That's a
Is that
matter of
factual?
public record. Yeah, it's a matter of public record.
cash contribution,
It's a matter of public record, and I have the statement with me if you want me to show it to you.
oh, you can show it to anybody you want because it's not a cash contribution, Ms. Sarah. It was an in-kind contribution for billboard sign usage on the Pennsylvania Turnpike, not even in the ward.
Mr. Gillies, regardless of whatever you want to say it was, in my opinion, and I stated that at the beginning of my statement,
But,
my opinion,
you made a
it was
factual-
improper for you to accept any sort of in-kind gratuities from the billboard owner while we were negotiating for it to go up.
So have you ever?
It was my opinion. So, I mean,
But
we can
it
go
is
back and
not-
forth.
but I
And
wanna-
to also address another issue, in the African-American community, we have what's called a plantation mentality. In other words, that is when a African-American is within a majority white community, and if that African-American leader does not stand up for the African-American constituents in his community, that's called having a plantation community. So I'm saying for the record, and it's on TV, I will never have that sort of mentality. I will stand up for all the members in my community and within my constituency. But just because an issue affects African Americans, I will make sure that I stand up even more for that issue. So I want you to know that that's part of the record also.
And part of the record-
Because you also should remember some of the statements that you and your Republican candidates said to me during the polls while I was there. And I'm sorry for getting upset, and my apologies to the board and to everyone else. But I will not stand here and be addressed by a racist person that you said to me, those things that you said to me during the election, and then challenge me for standing up for the African Americans in this community. I will never submit to that, sir.
And sir,
Never.
I take full objection to what you're saying.
Well, you can say what
I
we both know what you was said.
After you won the election.
My apologies.
And after, Mr. Maxwell won the election, I contacted both of you
You never contacted me.
in,
That's a lie. That's a lie.
all right, well, when you were at the meeting on November 19th, and Mr. Maxwell was also at the meeting on November 19th, after the meeting, I walked up to both of you and said, anything you need to know about the past history, any time you want to go over the budget, give me a call.
Mr.
Now-
Gillies, you never said that to me. You may have said that to Mr. Maxwell, but you never walked up and said that to
Well,
me.
Can we move this?
I'm ready to move on, Mr. President.
All right, but on on that same meeting, you were the only person in the meeting to say, I like your plan, and I think everyone is happy with it.
I never said that, Mr.
Well,
Gillies.
then the Springfield Sun has incorrectly quoted you, because that is what you said, and you said you would take it to every person. So now, I understand that, a lot of, I don't know, issues rise up here where things, this is not a good case that we have. This is a bad situation we were put in. Now, for the record, I will tell you what my position has been since that sign was turned on. My position has been that that sign is 5 to 10 feet too high, and that the developer adjusted the grades below the sign so that he could meet the 35-foot threshold. That is my position. That's a position that I've always had. And I said from day one, that sign should be shut down. So I just want that as a matter of record, Mr. Graham. And the things that you accuse of are absolutely false. So thank you for your time. Sorry to bring this to here, but this is where it began.
No, thank you.
Had Mr. Graham contacted me anytime, I would have spoken to him about this. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Gillies.
You're welcome.
And just as a point of procedure, we don't usually allow such a give and take, but I think Mr. Graham was willing to do so, and Mr. Gillies was, so I don't want to set a precedent that we turn into a press conference, but that said, do we have any other, yes, Ms. Crawford.
Good evening, Commissioners. Janine Crawford, 711 Sandy Hill Road. I just want to make a comment and I have a question. So my comment is regarding the billboard. We've heard for years about the history of how the billboard came about. I understand it. I understand how it happened and that it was a misfortune that the previous solicitor did that. I just want to make a comment that our issues with this whole situation we understand that. Our issue is we don't understand why you accepted the deal that you accepted. So I want to make that clear. It's not about, I understand that we had to do it, and we get that. Do what you have to do, but the deal that you guys accepted to have a billboard on at 11:30 to 11:30 at night where school children have to study and, you know, I want to go and enjoy my yard is unacceptable. You wouldn't have accepted it in your neighborhoods. I believe that with all my heart. Why would it have to be accepted for us? That's our issue, and I want to put that out there. My other question is, and I'm not a lawyer, so I don't understand, and you can help me understand it, is if we haven't filed, have we notified Mr. Burkowski? And if we haven't, how does he know that we're taking him to litigation? I understand it was in the Springfield Sun, but I just take that he doesn't sit around and read the Springfield Sun. So I'm curious as to how he knows that and how it was brought out that the sign was coming on soon as we decided to make a judgment or an agreement to go to litigation, and now exactly what was said is that it could be a coincidence, but I find it a little bit coincidental that the sign is now on. We haven't even filed a lawsuit yet, and I'm just curious as to how he knows. Maybe you guys have communicated to him.
We have not, but
Okay.
I'll otherwise take that as a rhetorical
Okay.
question. But we have not.
Well, we had a...
And I don't mean you guys, I mean
Right.
like, I don't know if the solicitor has sent
No,
it.
But it was in the
I don't know
paper,
that.
yes.
Ms. Crawford, we had a public vote to authorize the litigation.
Yeah, I
So,
understand that, but
I'm not being, and so we did have a public vote, so I'm sure he found out soon thereafter.
I'm sure, but I don't think he sits up and looks at the videotapes that we do here, and so my
Oh,
thing
oh.
is who's feeding the information to him?
I can tell you that I get calls before the meeting from 2 or 3 attorneys every
Okay.
month.
Okay.
They say they're looking out for their clients' interests. What are you
Okay.
talking about this here?
Okay.
So he may have picked it up from the posted agenda
That
on the
makes
internet. I didn't hear from Greg Edelman,
Okay.
but I
Maybe he
do hear
was
from
listening
others.
in. Okay.
Yeah, so-
I'm just, like I said, I don't know how that process goes, but I just found it, funny that, he did. Now he's leaving the sign on, and it is what it is, but
Could-
I still stand strong that what we're doing is the right thing, and
Well, to answer Ms. Crawford's question, I can say, each board member, I had no communication with them, but I'm sure somehow, if he found out our solicitor, I'm sure there's been some type of communication.
I think it
I
makes
mean, we just announced, Mr. Graham made a statement tonight to his constituents that he's satisfied with where we're going.
Right.
I did.
So, and so I'm sure that this is being televised, so he's going to obviously know where we're at. And I'm not trying to be smart with you, I'm just saying.
No, I don't understand. I'm truly, I don't know. It could have been that it's a letter was, I don't know what happened. I'm just asking, how
Sure.
he knows if, I know it's public, but I don't go around and, peep in on Upper Dublin's board meetings and, so I'm just curious. That's all. So.
And if I could, Jeff, just answer your questions about why we went through the agreement we had. It does, in my opinion, it does go to some of the history of where we're at. As Mr. Gillies said, I said last month, we did have a lot of back and forth.
Right.
And where that sign was eventually placed, and I could speak for myself, the rest of the boards, we thought that would be the least impact on the community.
I can accept that too.
And I'm just saying, you're asking why we agreed to it. My name's on that as president. I mean, Jeff signed off on the validity, and that's just how we work. I was the president. We had a lot of back and forth about it, and there was risk. And there was a lot of back and forth whether we should take them to litigation at that time. And given the legal posture that we were in, and we could go back 10 years and all that stuff, is we had to make a decision. And I think what you'll see from our actions is, I don't want to get into what will be filed or whatnot, but obviously promises were made, promises were broken.
Right.
You can look at the tapes, you can look at our meetings that are online, which so can he,
Right.
and you can see what was represented, what was not.
Right.
And under those beliefs and our legal posture and the case law and a lot of back and forth, we made the decision. And obviously that decision didn't work out, but now we're trying, and I don't think on our part, I'm going to be honest with you, not on our, you were at all the meetings when he was here going back and forth about you couldn't see and whatnot, and we made a decision, and it wasn't a lot of good options to make. That's where we're at. Now we're trying to fight it again. And I may not give you any solace, but I think, once again, in executive, we can go back and forth, and there may be a 5-2 or 6-1, but what we try to do, especially with litigation, is you come out united. I mean, I think that's...
I think it's more, I know the sign had to go up. I know it had to go up in the least impactful, but 11 o'clock at night,
Well,
I think that's where I'm kind of, I don't understand that whole rationale as to why, but I guess because you thought that it wasn't going to be noticeable as it is.
And that went back and forth, I'll just tell you straight up, about the allowed, like, businesses can operate 24/7 in the township, so there's a lot of give and take with that too, so.
I think that was all.
Yeah, and Ms. Crawford, you should be aware that as we had our discussion here within the committee, with the commission meetings and also our meetings, we knew that we were going to get some sort of retaliatory kickback from the Billboard guy when we were going to proceed with this litigation. So unfortunately, as I said to you in my memo that I sent out, I am so sorry that you guys really have to suffer, because it is an intrusion to have a light shining in your bedroom light up until 11:30 at night, where your children are disturbed. You have to make alterations to your homes, and it brings down your property values. So I understand and I do sympathize with you. So we are making, I think we're making great strides, and we just have to be patient. As Dr. King says, we will not back down from this fight, to quote him or to paraphrasing right now. But we're not going to back down from this fight, and I think that you do have the solicitor is doing a fantastic job from what I've seen so far. So I would like to make everyone rest at ease on that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Joan?
Tom, I just want to correct one thing on the record if she's here.
Oh, okay.
On that.
First of all, I'd like to say that I was watching the Billboard with what was going on with the Billboard back when Kilkenny was the solicitor, and everything that was said tonight was true, because we were concerned about those billboards even coming into our township at all. Nobody wanted it. It slipped through the back door. Everybody's like, oh my God, the billboards are here. And no one caught it in time to stop the billboards. The same thing with the bus depot. I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning, we have buses leaving, and our kids are being woken up. And in our development of a mixed community, we have issues too that we bring to the board members. Over in where Bob was the commissioner, was wonderful over for all his blended community over there. And I would like to request that you take out what Mr. Graham said with the R word. I don't even want to say it, because I just don't think that was necessary to, in these times, to try and promote something like that to someone who has given years of service to our township. The billboards was an issue, and where it ended up was where the entrance to the expressway. But I really think you should retract your words and not put it out on TV, because I just don't think it's fair.
May I address that,
I just don't think it's right.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I brought that up as an example of what the character that Mr. Gillies was trying to portray himself. And I will not retract that statement because of what, you gotta allow me to finish if you want to hear me.
My family lives in that
Okay,
area.
well, fine.
And that's never been the
The
case.
statements that were made between Mr. Gillies and the Republican candidate were in fact racist at the time that we were standing at the polls, and I took an offense to it. So you can take an offense to it as much as I did, and I will not retract it because I heard it, people around me heard it and commented on it. So I'm not going to retract that because it was a racist statement. And if it's
I
on
don't
record,
think that's
yeah, fine.
becoming of a commissioner who's
Well,
newly
I don't
elected
care.
to
You
our
know what? You didn't
township.
vote for me, so I don't care.
Can we
Yeah,
move
so
on?
that really doesn't
That's
bother
all
me,
I'm
Mrs.
saying.
Parsons. It
I-
really doesn't bother me.
I'm just saying, I just don't
I
think
know
it's-
that the constituents within my wards are pleased with the job I'm doing, and that's really my bottom line.
I
And this
do
is-
want to move
yeah.
on here.
Yeah, I understand.
Mr. Gillies
I just-
took exception, appropriately so.
I just wanted for the
and
board that I don't
let's
think that
move
that's
on. We're
such a
here
good
to
idea,
do the
Jack.
business of the township, and you've expressed your objection, that
Thank
that's
you.
fine. So,
Look at him right now.
do we have any other public comment? Okay, well, we're going to move on to the, oh, yes, the commission, the solicitor wanted to make a comment on
I just
Ms.
wanted to
Crawford's.
comment on one very, very minor, it's actually a minor thing, but there were comments made earlier by commissioners that could be interpreted as suggesting that the commissioners vote in executive session, which they never, ever do. And all the commissioners know that. We're not allowed to vote in executive session. And all these important issues that were talked about this evening were voted in public meetings.
My
We work by
apologies.
consensus. Are you guys ready to move on here?
Yes.
So we're going to move on to the committee reports, and I will start off. What?
Could you just
Oh, I'm
repeat
sorry.
that statement again? I couldn't hear it.
Sorry, I apologize.
My apologies also.
Yes, I'll do it very quickly one more time. I said that there were statements made earlier this evening that could be misinterpreted as understanding that the commissioners took votes on important matters in executive session, which they are not allowed to do.
Correct.
And they know that, and they would not do that. They wouldn't even let me authorize that. So all the votes on important issues are done in public meetings, just like this.
Thank you.
So noted. So I will move ahead as the chairman of the Internal Affairs Committee. The next item is item 4 on the agenda, the August bill listing. I move that the Board of Commissioners approve the July check reconciliation in the amount of $1,687,606.63, and the August bill listing in the amount of $1,729,516.08. That is my motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote. Item 5, ordinance 945. This has to do with financing the remaining piece of the municipal campus. We currently have a 15-year note on that, and we are going to refinance that to a 20-year note at a significantly lower interest rate, and that should cover all the projects. That plus the proceeds we got from the sale of the sanitary sewer system. So my motion is, I move that the Board of Commissioners enact ordinance number 945, an ordinance authorizing the sale and issuance of a general obligation note, series of 2016, in an amount not to exceed $10 million to TD Bank. Proceeds of the note will be utilized to refinance the township's existing 2013 general obligation note issued in 2014 for the reconstruction of the East Mill Road Bridge, and the 2015 general obligation note for the municipal campus renovation project, acquisition and renovation of 1200 Willow Grove Avenue, and financial advisory fees. The new note bears a fixed interest rate of 2.26% for 20 years. That is my motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments?
Yes, from the solicitor, because that's an ordinance, this is technically a public hearing, so we at least
Oh.
have to ask
Okay.
whether there are any questions.
Does anybody have questions or comments on that? But what we're doing is we're taking existing debt or existing commitments for the construction that's in process. We're rebundling it, we're extending it by 5 years, and the interest rate is going down. So that will have a positive impact on our property tax. Did you have any other questions or comments? Have we satisfied?
Yes, we have now
Thank you, Mr.
conducted a public
Solicitor.
hearing.
All in favor, please, we have a second, right?
Yes, we did.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote. The next is item 6 pertaining to Labor Law Council. I move that the Board of Commissioners direct and authorize Ballard Spar LLP to transfer all electronic and active Springfield Township files to Campbell, Durant, Beatty, Palumbo, and Miller, PC, as of September 1, 2016. The transfer of files is necessary because the Township's current labor law counsel have announced their intention to leave the Ballards Bar Law Firm in order to join the Campbell Durant firm on August 31st, 2016. That is my motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
I think that's self-explanatory. Our lawyers are moving, we're following the lawyers, and that will keep our fees down. And all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote. That concludes my report. I'll call on the Chairman of Public Works and Facilities Committee, Commissioner Shum.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have two items this evening. First, I move that the Board of Commissioners authorize the advertisement of an ordinance to update Chapter 81 of the Springfield Township Code to provide a general update and to reflect the sale of sanitary sewer system to Bucks County Water and Sewer Authority. In summary, the ordinance, 1, establishes rules and regulations covering connection to and use of the sanitary sewer system in Springfield Township and by contributing sources Upper Dublin and White Marsh Township. 2, definitions have been updated and expanded consistent with industry standards. 3, assigns responsibilities and authorities associated with owning and operating the sanitary sewer system in Springfield Township on the Bucks County Water and Sewer Authority. 4, states the rates for connections and annual sanitary sewer rental shall be set annually by the Bucks County Water and Sewer Authority. 5, outlines maintenance responsibilities of existing facilities by the users and the authority. 6, maintains and updates regulations for, quote, significant industrial users, end quote, including flow limitations, pre-treatment requirements, record keeping, accidental discharges, and samplings. These are regulations required by the City of Philadelphia for purpose of treatment. 7, references on-lot sanitary sewer facilities are under the regulation of the Pennsylvania Sewer Facilities Act. 8, provides for violations, enforcement penalties, and legal action. 9, the Caroline Drive Sewer Assessment Agreement is referenced. And 10, regulations involving installation, operation, and maintenance of grinder pumps and low-pressure sewer systems have been added. It is the intention of the Board of Commissioners to consider enactment of the ordinance at its September 14th, 2016 business meeting. That's my motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Hello.
Second.
We have a second. What's going on here is, as you know, we sold our sanitary sewer system last December, and this is just updating our laws to reflect that sale.
Jeff, I have a few comments on that. With respect to what we talked about the other night with the ordinance, with respect to the authorities of Bucks County, my understanding is now that they would have the ability to videotape your lateral onto your property. And my concern the other night, and Jim actually echoed it, well, clarified with respect to a trespass. So if we're giving them the authority to videotape the property owner's lateral into their property, which is their responsibility, is my understanding, meaning the homeowners, I think absent some type of emergency for public health, wealth, and safety, that the homeowner should have at least 60 days notice that they'll be videotaping their sanitary sewer pipe. Because it's like any other utility. PICO would give you notice, Aqua would give you notice, but they can just videotape your pipe without your authority. And I have a slight problem with that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify. I don't think, Jim, and maybe I'm misstating myself.
This just went off. I'm sorry. I'm not bidding for it.
I don't think I said that the ordinance authorized videotaping. What I said was I understood that there was technology now to do that.
Okay.
That there are some companies now who have these little tiny cameras that can go up laterals. I didn't say these guys plan to do it. I don't know if they do or not.
Well, then, in the ordinance, do they have the ability to do that?
I don't think so. I can certainly check that if
I would
you want me
like
to.
to clarify, because we had a discussion about that the other night.
We did.
And that's one of my concerns.
Well, my
I didn't use the
understanding
word-
is, before, the township only had the responsibility of the main. I think Bucks County would take the main and the lateral up to the house. So Jim's interest or concern might be legit. We'd have to look at the ordinance a little bit closer.
Well, I'd be happy to look at the ordinance. It'd be really unusual if Bucks County agreed to take the responsibility for the laterals
I
on
don't
private
understand
property.
how they have the responsibility for the lateral if If yours goes tomorrow, you have the responsibility to pay for it.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They're taking it from the main to what we call the curb bank or the
Okay.
T. It doesn't, and then you or I would be responsible for the rest, but I think they provide insurance for the.
Yeah, well, that's what we were talking about the other night, that if I get it wrong, the DEPA is concerned about the I&I or suspended solids aren't coming from the main now, but from the property. And we talked about that the other night, and then we talked about, I know you weren't here, them being able to video into your part of the pipe. And my concern is that the homeowner should be on some type of notice before they do that, especially if they have to go into your yard and dig it up.
Oh, sure.
Because I've seen that on some that have failed recently where they have to, even just to video it. So if the ordinance does allow them to do that, I would ask for at least absent, again, emergency, some 60-day notice.
Okay, can we
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to table this until next month. until
then
we-
direct the solicitor to look at it? Okay. This was just to advertise
It
it,
was
which
just
starts a
advertising,
30-day clock.
correct.
So we will withdraw the motion and get some clarity on that.
And that doesn't need a second, right? The table?
The table does.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Yeah.
Okay, now we vote on the motion to table, right?
Yes.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So that motion is tabled until next month. Thank you, Mr. Daly.
Thank you. My next item, Section 1501 of the Pennsylvania First Class Township Code requires the Board of Commissioners to sell individual pieces of personal property valued in excess of $1,000 or an entire lot of property valued together at $1,000 or greater by way of sealed bids or at public auction. Therefore, I move the Board of Commissioners authorize the sale of 4 used vehicles at public auction sponsored by the Montgomery County Consortium of Communities to be held August 20th, 2016. The auction will be conducted by J.J. Kane Auctioneers at Danella Line Services, 1402 Conshohocken Road, Plymouth Meeting, PA. The vehicles to be auctioned include the following: a 2008 Chevrolet Tahoe, a former police car; a 2002 Chevrolet Tahoe, a former police car; a 2004 Chevrolet pickup truck, a former Public Works vehicle; 2004 Chevrolet pickup truck, a former Public Works vehicle. That's my motion.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments on the motion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote.
That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Commissioner Shum. We'll move to the Chairman of the Community Development Committee, Commissioner Standish.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 2 motions this evening. The first concerns the Whitmore Court land development. I move that the Board of Commissioners accept a letter from Kristen Pianzio, legal counsel for Skip DeMarco, owner of the proposed Whitmore Court subdivision on Pine Road, extending the 90-day subdivision land development plan review period until September 30th, 2016. That is my motion.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote.
And let me just make a quick comment about that project. A number of us, including our solicitor and manager, assistant manager, a member of the community, our code enforcement person, and I met with the developer and his architect and counsel this morning. Basically, where they are now is they started a few months ago, if everybody remembers, in a zoning hearing, they proposed a 4-unit plan, and then they came back to our planning commission later on. That was denied, and then they came back with a 3-unit plan, and there were issues involved with that. So now they're at a 2-unit plan by right. They showed us a plan. They didn't show us any renderings or anything like that, but clearly there's enough room to build 2 houses on the property. And the only thing they really were asking us was whether we would, and it's in our power to do this, not a zoning issue, but they asked if we would grant them a waiver to building a cul-de-sac on the site and instead build a kind of I guess, an extension of the dead-end street running into a paper road, which means that the road would, on paper, exist, but in fact would be a grass area. And, the staff's main issue would be whether or not we can get emergency vehicles into that dead end. And we talked about it, and we had a sort of a caucus prior to this meeting. And so we have basically a consensus that the developer, that assuming that they meet all other planning requirements, that we would consider approving it with that waiver. And he wanted to get that assurance so that he can go ahead and spend a lot of money to build engineered plans and bring it in front of our planning commission. That's not to say that there aren't other issues involved, and that the neighbors shouldn't, weigh in on what those issues are. Principally, already we've had some concerns from neighbors about stormwater and parking and that sort of thing. But those things will be addressed in planning, so I would just invite anybody in the neighborhood that's interested in that to come out and weigh in at that time. And it's not scheduled yet, so we'll all be aware of when that happens.
And as a point of clarification, they haven't filed the 2-unit plan.
They
They're
have not
trying to get
filed.
feedback from.
That's
So
exactly
what we're
right, yeah.
extending is the 3-unit plan, but I don't think we'll ever vote on that. I think we'll go to the 2, and that'll restart the clock.
Right. So those are my comments about that. So next, I have another motion. This is concerning Orland Investments. In compliance with Section 512 of the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code, I move that the Board of Commissioners grant a waiver to the land development review process in order to permit the continued use of a temporary office trailer to the rear of 150 Roche Avenue, Orland, for a period not to exceed 2 years. The waiver is conditioned upon the property owner, Orland Investments, remaining in compliance with all other permits, conditions, and approvals originally granted by the Board of Commissioners at their January 12, 2012 meeting. That is my motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote.
Okay, and that concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you, Commissioner Standish. I'd like to move on to the Chairman of the Zoning Committee, Commissioner Daley.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Zoning Hearing Board did not receive any applications for hearings for the month of August 2016. Therefore, the regular Zoning Hearing Board meeting scheduled for August 22nd, 2016 has been canceled. The next regularly scheduled meeting of the Zoning Hearing Board will be Monday, September 26, 2016 at 7 p.m. in the Springfield Middle School. That will be my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Daley. Let's move on to the Chairman of the Cultural Resources Committee, Commissioner Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm pleased to announce that during the month of July 2016, Springfield Township residents recycled 178.6 tons of materials with a householder participation rate of 76.4%. The net cost to the township for the month was $17,259.15. That is my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilson. Let's move on to the Chairman of the Human Resources Committee, Commissioner Graham.
Mr. President, we have no report this month. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Finally, the Co-Chairman of the Public Safety Committee, Commissioner Maxwell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item this evening, I move that the Board of Commissioners amend the Springfield Township Code, Section 107-35, Schedule 12, special parking zones by establishing a handicap parking space on Hillcrest Avenue from a point 180 feet southwest of Park Avenue to a point 20 feet southeasterly thereof. That is my motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote. I'm supposed to say that concludes my report.
That concludes my report, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Maxwell. That concludes our reports. Do we have any public comment before we entertain a motion to adjourn? There being none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.
Quick to do that.